Hey everybody, welcome to Drive Thru Review 322. Today we're going to talk about Chimera. Now this is a exactly 3-player card game designed by Ralph Anderson and published by Z-Man Games. And it basically is Tichu, which is an exactly 4-player card game for exactly 3 players. You can't play with 2, can't play with 4. So you have a specialized deck of cards. You can see here's a little lucky cat, has the number 11 card. And each player is going to get a hand of cards, and you're going to have a little bit of bidding each round to basically bid if you're going to go out first. You're going to play hands of cards. It's a ladder climbing game, which if you're not familiar with is kind of like a trick taking game, but I'll explain that a little bit here. And you have shifting alliances each round. So whoever bids to be the Chimera that thinks they for sure are going to be the first one to go out, they are going to play on their own. The other 2 players are going to effectively play against them. So let's go into the details. So inside the box, which actually has a very nicely embossed cover, you're going to get 3 things. You're going to get a deck of cards, a score pad, and a rule book. Now in Chimera, players are going to be playing a series of hands until one of the players reaches a target number of points, either 400, 300, whatever you want to set. Each round you're going to shuffle the deck up, cut the deck, and then turn over the top card of the cut, and then place the top half back on top and then deal out the cards to the players. You'll deal 3 cards to the center of the table face down. This is known as the Chimera's Den, and then you'll deal out the rest of the deck to all the players. Now the player that receives the face-up card is going to be the first to bid for that round. So the bidding works as follows. As soon as somebody bids 40, that's it. It's done. They've won the bid and they will now be the Chimera for the following round. So here's an example. So let's say I pass. And then Billy bids 20, Bobby bids 30, and then I pass and Billy passes. So Bobby's the Chimera, he bid 30. He's trying to go out first. He was extra confident that he was going to go out first, so he bid 30. And then Billy and I are going to try to make it so he doesn't go out first. The player that won the bid is now the Chimera, and they're going to take the 3 cards from the Chimera's Den and add them to their hand. Depending on how much the Chimera bid to win, the other 2 players can now pass cards to each other. So in this case, if Bobby had bid 40, and then Billy and I could pass 2 cards to each other without looking. I give him 2 cards, he gives me 2 cards. If he had only won with 20, then we don't get to pass any cards at all. If you win with 30, then the other 2 guys get to pass with 1 card. So now the Chimera will lead off a legal card combination, and there are several card combinations in a game of Chimera. The rulebook does a good job of explaining all the combinations, and after you've played a couple of rounds, it's not that difficult to digest, but I do wish there was a player aid included with the game. So I'll go over the different card combinations, but the play works as follows. So if I play a pair, then everybody else has to follow with a pair that's higher. So if I play a pair of 3s, you can play a pair of 5s. And then Bobby can play a pair of 6s, and we keep going around, but you're kind of locked into pairs. So if I led with 3 of a kind, we'd all have to play 3 of a kind. Now there are bombs in this game called traps or the Chimera's Flight. A trap is straight 4 of a kind, and then there are 2 special cards, the Paya and the Chimera card, which is like the highest that you can play. You can actually play those out of turn. So if we're doing 3 of a kinds, you don't have any, but you really want to take control, you can play that trap or the Chimera's Flight. The deck is close to a traditional 52 card deck, but not quite. It's made up of 4 suits. Each suit has a 2, which is also a frog, and those are going to be worth 10 points at the end of each round to whoever collects them. And there's also the lucky cat, which are the 11s, and those are going to be worth 5 points to whoever collects those. You also have heroes in the different suits. Now these don't have a number value, and they're not wild, but they're always high card, and I'll explain that in a little bit more detail later. And then you've also got the Chimera, which is the highest card, and the Paya, which is the second highest card, but can also be used in a wild when building a straight. So let's take a look at the legal card combinations. First and simply is the single card. And let's say somebody led with a 4, the next player could play an 8, and so on up until we get to the heroes, which is the highest card, except for the Paya, and then the Chimera could also win finally that trick. So the next combination is pairs, and this works very much like singles. You could play a pair of 3s, and then somebody plays a pair of 7s. Finally, the highest pair is going to be a pair of heroes. The Paya and the Chimera can't be involved in the pairs. The next combination is a sequence of at least 3 pairs. So this is 3 pairs that go in order, in this case 3, 4, 5. A higher set of this type would be 4, 5, 6, whatever the highest pair is in that run. Now a pair of heroes is not going to work here because it doesn't have a number value, it's just a high card. So you couldn't do 11, 12 hero. The next combination is triplets, and in this case we could actually beat a lower triplet with 3 heroes. The next legal combination is a sequence of triplets, and like a sequence of pairs, it's just 2 or more triplets that are sequential. And so in this case we have a 3, 4, and 5 triplets. So anybody following has to do 3 triplets all in a row. The next combination, and this is where the game starts to get interesting, is a triplet with an attached card. So you can see here, for example, we have 3 3s with an attached 11. Now this can be beaten by any higher triplet. So in this case, 3 5s with an attached 8. The attached card isn't considered when considering if you beat the previous play. You can also do a triplet with an attached pair. So you got 3 5s with a pair of 8s. This could be beaten by 3 6s or 3 7s with any pair. You only consider the triplet. Now you can also do a sequence of triplets with an attached card, or a sequence of triplets with an attached pair. So I could do 3 3s and 3 4s with an attached hero or something like that. So the attachments make this very interesting and different from at least any ladder climbing games that I've played. I think they use this in some other ones, a little bit more obscure ones possibly, but it makes it interesting because what you're trying to do, if you're not familiar with these ladder climbing games, is work it so you kind of maintain control and you go out when you want to go out and you win tricks when you want to win tricks. So you don't want to go out and play your big, straight or, huge bunch of triplets at the beginning and then you kind of onesie-twosie it for the rest of the hand. You've got to be very cognizant about it. And what attaching cards allow you to do is make that a little bit easier and, make decisions a little bit more interesting about, okay, do I pull this out of here? And then I can probably throw that single out at the very end or whatever. So this makes it interesting. I think experienced ladder climbing players will like this. The next combination is the straight of 5 or more. So this is any 5 cards that are sequential. Again, in this case, you can't use the heroes because they're not in denomination value, but you can substitute one of the cards with the paya, and that will count. In this case, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Finally, 2 last combinations. You can do a quad with an attached card or a quad with an attached pair. A quad by itself is a trap or a bomb, and any trap can only be beaten by a higher trap, a higher quad, or the Chimera's flight, which is the Chimera and the paya. So the way a trap or a bomb works is, like I said, we're playing triplets, and you don't have a triplet, or maybe you don't feel like playing one, and then you play a trap. So maybe you play 4 5s. And you can break that line of whatever the combinations that we're currently playing with a trap or a bomb. And so that can be beaten by 4 10s or whatever. Now the highest trap, as I said, is the Chimera and the paya, and that just beats everything, and you take everything from there. So you're going to keep playing, and if the Chimera goes out, they're going to get double their bid in points. They'll also get any points for any of the cats or the frogs they collected. Everybody will get points for those. And if a trap or a Chimera's flight, basically any bomb was played, you're going to get 25 points if a trap was played and 25 points if the Chimera's flight was played, if you were the Chimera and you went out first. No other condition. If one of those is played and the Chimera doesn't go out first, nobody gets any bonuses. Only if you the Chimera and those happen, then you're going to get some extra points. So you can get a lot of points there. Let's say you bid 40, you're going to get double your bid and 80 points. And let's say both of those happened, you'd get another 50 points. You'll also get another 25 point bonus if one of your 2 opponents didn't get a chance to play any cards at all. There's another 25 point bonus. I haven't seen that happen. I've seen it get close, but I haven't seen it happen yet. So if the Chimera doesn't go out first, the other 2 players automatically get 20 points each, and then everybody just collects, like I said, the frogs and the cats. I really enjoy this game. I've been saying that a lot, I know, on this channel, but I really have a great time with this at lunch. We've been playing it for about a week now, and we really are having a great time with it. One of the games we really like to play is Haggis, and I have said that Haggis is my favorite ladder climbing game. I also, though, really enjoy a game called Frank Zoo, and Frank Zoo has a mechanism similar to this where you're always switching teams every round. So that makes it very, 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 very interesting. I really enjoy this part of the game. So you are the Chimera, and then now me and Billy there, we're going to trade cards. So as people kind of play with each other, you kind of know, like, I'm going to give you my Chimera because I'm hoping you have the paya so you can play that bomb at the exact right time. And one of the things in comparison to Haggis, now Haggis is a 2 or 3 player game. This only plays 3. I do like Haggis with 2 and 3. But The way Haggis works with the special cards, in that game you have some face-up face cards, and each player sort of has these like loaded bullets that they can use and combine. And this I like a little bit because it has that surprise and that element of deduction of where that Chimera is sitting, where the Paya is sitting, and the whole push your luck aspect with the bidding. It's very simplistic bidding, but it's also gives you a lot of information in terms of, like, you know, how good the hand is comparing to the cards that you have in your hand. So this works on a lot of levels. I like the attachments. So I think, you know, there's a lot of these style games out there. You've got Tichu, you've got Haggis, you know, there's a few other somewhat popular games in this genre. I would say if you're a fan of this style of game, which I am, this is a definite must for the collection, because, you know, it plays exactly 3, which is, you got to give Z-Man a little bit of props for actually publishing a game that plays only 3 and 3 only. You know, 2-player games you get, because, you know, there's couples and, you know, you only have one buddy or whatever that you play with, or it's a big long war game or whatever. So 2-player games make sense. But like only 3 or something like that, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense from a publishing perspective. But I'm glad they did, because this game, it performs, you know, perfectly with 3, and it knows what it is, it knows where it sits. And so I would highly recommend this game. You know, even if you're somewhat new into ladder climbing games or haven't played one, I would pick this one up. The only thing that's really going to be difficult, I think, is remembering all those different combinations. And we just leave the rule book here open, you know, and look at it, and then like, oh yeah, you can only, you know, do attachments on triplets or quads. You can't do attachments on pairs. That's like the thing that people seem to forget. Oh, it is a sequence of pairs and an attached card. Well, no, you can't. You can have triplets or quads or sequences of those, and then you can do the attachments. So that's kind of the main key, a takeaway that seems like, you know, there was a little bit of learning curve there. But yeah, I would definitely recommend this game. This is going to keep being played at lunch, so it's going to be a struggle to get new games played over this one, at least for the time being. So thanks.